Hey, how's it going everyone? This is Brandon Bias from GingerChicken.com here with our first Photoshop tutorial of 2011. It's been a little bit since I've made a tutorial. I'm sorry about that. The main reason is because I got my wisdom teeth out last Monday, and because of that I couldn't really talk too much. I was all puffy and swollen and yeah. So I wasn't really able to make any tutorials, but here I am making one for you now, so hopefully that kind of makes up for it. We've got some new things coming up here in 2011, one of which is something that I like to call Tutorial Tuesdays. Starting in February, I'm going to be making a tutorial every single Tuesday, so hopefully you guys will like something like that. So yeah. Another new addition to these tutorials is a full screen recording, meaning I won't have this little toolbar up here, so hopefully that's one less distraction and more room to work with and more room for you guys to view whatever's going on here in Photoshop. Additionally, I've got another dock down here at the bottom. It's called a Nexus dock, and it's just got some cool things down here, just cool little effects and stuff like that, and I changed up the icons. So if you want a link to it, I'll put that in the description, as well as a link to the custom icons that I've got going on down here that I think are pretty cool. I'll put a little download link down there for you. And also you'll notice that I've got a new sound scheme with Windows, so listen to this. Now that's awesome. Now, you'll also notice that when I clicked down here on my dock, it made this little ripple thing. It's one of the effects that comes with it. I think it's pretty awesome. And the reason you didn't hear anything when I clicked this little icon is because it showed up in my second screen over in the right side, so that way whenever I open something it doesn't like distract you or anything like that. So let's go ahead and get into this tutorial. We'll go ahead and open up Photoshop. What we're making today is a glass text effect. If you didn't see what that looked like, let's go ahead and open that up, glass PSD. This is what we're going to be making today, this little glass effect right here. So you can see all the general stuff that we'll be making. We got this nice little faded background and a little glass effect, a little cloud effect in the background, and a glowing line. Altogether comes to make a pretty nifty effect. So let's get started. We'll start up a new document, and we're just going to make it our usual 1280 by 720 resolution with 72 pixels per inch, and we'll do a white background instead of our usual transparent, and we'll go ahead and hit OK. And another new thing in these tutorials that you will notice is our little shortcut helper at the top. For example, when I hit a shortcut like Control-0, you'll see that little thing pop up at the top, and it'll just give you a little brief glimpse at what I'm doing and what it does, and then it will go away, which is something I think will be pretty useful. So anyway, back to the actual tutorial. What we're going to do with this white background is go ahead and invert it with Control-I or Command-I if you're on a Mac. That way it just makes the background black. And we'll go ahead and double click the background so we can get rid of this lock, and we'll name it BG for background. And we're going to go ahead and give our background a new effect by going to this effects icon and going to the gradient overlay. And I need to bring this over here. So what we're going to do is go ahead and reverse this gradient, and we'll click the little gradient right here. Since I changed up how the window works, they all appear on the other side. Anyway, so we're going to go ahead and click and drag this slider to about 25% to just increase where the blacks go, and then I'm going to click and drag this white slider over here to about 65%, and we're going to change the color to 34001B. So that's that color right there. We'll hit OK, and then we'll click and drag a new slider into the 100% mark, and we'll change the color of that to black. And we'll hit OK. So just to recap, we've got black at 25%, we've got 34001B here at 65%, and we've got black at 100%. So we'll hit OK, and we'll hit OK again, and we'll close that up. And the next thing we're going to do is go ahead and add in our text. So I will swap over to the text tool with the letter T. we're gonna make sure that we swap these over to make the text white when we make it. So we'll click somewhere in the middle and we'll put in a letter A. Make sure that this letter A has all these little properties up here, like we've got the Anja Elian text. I don't know if that's the right way to pronounce it. We're doing a 210 point font. We've got a smooth style going. It's centered and we've got it white. So that's all the effects that we've got going for the letter A. If you don't actually know how to add a custom font into Photoshop, all you need to do is download it. I will put a link in the description, and once you've actually downloaded this font right here, it's called Anja Elian, you can just double click it and there should be a little install button right here, and that'll install it straight into your Windows system fonts, and it should automatically load up in Photoshop. If not, then just restart Photoshop and it should show up. Anyway, once you've got your letter, we'll go ahead and check mark it, and we'll swap to our move tool. And we're going to go ahead and center this up by hitting Control A to select the whole canvas. And then up here we'll click this icon to align it vertically centered, and then we'll bump over 3 more and click this icon right there to align it vertically centered. And we'll hit Control D to deselect, and that way this letter A is centered for you. But we're going to be putting in a reflection into this later, so I'm going to go ahead and bump this up a couple pixels. I'm going to do Control 1 to zoom in 100%, and then while holding the Shift key and making sure we're on the move tool still, we're going to push the up arrow once and then once again, and that's going to bump it up 20 pixels, because when you're using the arrow keys and the move tool, it'll actually move it 10 pixels rather than 1 pixel. So that's a pretty useful little trick right there. So we'll zoom out by hitting Control 0, and we're actually going to apply just a bunch of effects to this letter A. So what we'll do is we'll go to the effects, we'll go to the blending options, we'll change the fill opacity to 0%. We're going to give this an inner shadow. Here, I'm going to move this over so you can see what's actually going on with the letter A as we do this. Anyway, we're going to change the blend mode to normal. We're going to change the color to white, and then we're going to change the size to 0, and that way we get this nice little outline right there. And we'll change the outer glow to a white color, and we're going to change the size to 8, I believe is the right number to use. Yes, that should be about right. And then we're going to change the bevel and emboss up. We're going to give it a style of pillow emboss. We're going to change the depth to 800 pixels, or not 800 pixels, 800% more like. We're going to change the size to 9 pixels. We're going to leave the softness 0. The angle is at 120 by 30 degrees, so that's good right there. We're going to change up the gloss contour. We're actually going to go to this one right here. If you hover over it, it should say ring under it. We're going to use that. And we're going to check mark the anti-alias so that the gloss is a little bit smoother. And that's it for the bevel and emboss. Next up, we're going to give this a gradient overlay. So we're just going to change the blend mode to screen, change the opacity to 23%. We're going to change the gradient by clicking on the gradient right there. And we'll move this slider over here to 50%, and then we'll click and drag to add another slider right there, and we'll change this slider to black. So that way we've got a black to white to black gradient, and we'll hit OK. And we'll just leave the style at linear and the angle at 90 degrees and the scale at 100%. And next up, we're just going to add a stroke right here. And all we're going to do is change the position to inside, and we'll change the color to red. And that should be about it for that. I'm actually thinking we need to, there we go, we need to change the size of this to 1 pixel just so it gives a nice little red kind of look to it on the inside. And that's all there is to that. So we'll go ahead and hit OK. Minimize all these effects right there. And I'm actually going to zoom back in just to get a good look at what we've got going here. So that's actually all there is to that right there. So we're going to go ahead and make all of the other letters for this. So what we're going to do is while we have the letter A selected, we're going to make sure we have our move tool selected, and then while holding the Alt key, or if you're on a Mac, that would be the Option key, we're going to click and drag this over and then hold Shift so that you don't accidentally drag it up or down a little bit. And we'll just move it over here so that it's still overlapping a little bit, and then we'll just duplicate it again and then go back to our original A, and we'll move it over again and move it over again, because we're going to have a GLASS right here to spell out the word glass. But the order of this is a little out of order, so we're going to click our original A right here and drag it to the top, and then we're going to go straight on through this entire thing, renaming the letters. We're going to make this a G, make that an L, make that an S, and make that an S. And there we go. If you'd like to reposition this, that would be great. We'll just move that over there, move the G over here, and we'll actually put the G below the L so that it's underneath right there. We'll actually move the L over just a little bit more, and then we'll move this S right there, but I want to put it underneath, and we'll move that over a little bit as well. Actually, maybe move these two over.